Good evening. My name's Chaim Kramer. I'm associated with the Breslov Research Institute in Yerushalayim, Baruch Hashem. It's 40 years now since we started translating and publishing Rabbi Nachman, making him available to the entire world. I was just informed that I'm supposed to speak for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to be splitting up into groups, whatever. It's fine with me. If that's the case, perhaps it would be easier if somebody had a subject that they would have questions about or difficulties, and we can discuss that. Maybe that will be easier for everybody. All right? Otherwise, if I give my prepared speeches, who knows how you're going to react. All right?
Can I tell you now?
Question?
Okay.
Yeah. See?
Rabbi Nachman talks once in a while, has talked about how in your prayers you want to kill yourself, so to speak. And I think you've spoken at that before, but it's hard to absorb and understand that piece.
No, he doesn't say you're going to kill yourself.
Not kill you, but
No. This is one of the basic tenets of Judaism. All right? Not kill yourself, but he means put your efforts into it. It's called in Hebrew Mesirat Nefesh, giving over your soul, right? Sacrificing for Hashem. So if you want to discuss that, we can discuss that. Is that okay with everybody? What it means, sacrifice for Hashem, you have in the Gemara and the Medrash, the Zohar, the Kisvei Ari. Rabbi Nachman speaks about it. He says every Jew, every day, has sacrifice for Hashem. Every single Jew, every single day. You wake up in the morning, right? Oh my gosh, I got to get out of bed. And I got to whatever it is I'm going to be doing, right? But you don't start your day then. First you wash your hands, then you pray to Hashem, and if you're going to eat, you're going to wash your hands or make a blessing or something. You're giving of yourself to Hashem. That's what Rabbi Nachman's talking about, right? Now, a lot of things we do, and we do it by rote. We're taught that way from birth, say this, say that. You ever see the little kids, they're going to sleep at night, 2 years old, say Shema, right? The kid barely could utter the words, but they say the Shema. You teach the kid, but they do it by rote like that 20 years later, right? How about putting some feeling into what you're doing? How about pulling some essence of yourself into what your relationship with Hashem is all about, right? Not by rote, but rather by absolute feeling and meaning and understanding that there is a God. So what are you doing? Just muttering the words? Or is there something else to it? Is there a higher calling that every one of us should have? Is that clear? Is there any question? The way you're going to see it more in Rabbi Nachman's teachings is his idea of hitbodedut or hispoidedus. Hispoidedus means private, secluded prayer to Hashem. Right? That's also Mesiras Nefesh, having to shut off your phone before. But the point is, when you have to have a relationship, a friend of mine expresses it this way: how could you ever have a relationship with someone with whom you never speak? Talk to God. Relationship with Hashem. He created the world, He created you, He put you where you are. You're in your situation because of Hashem, everything. What's your relationship with Him? Could you turn to Him? You need a loan. You turn to your either bank manager or you turn to your friend or whatever it is you turn to in order to be able to, you have a relationship with them. What about Hashem? You need something, you want something, there's something hurting you, there's something you want to express your joy and happiness about. Express it. Speak to Hashem. Tell him, Hashem, how are you today? I tell you, I'm feeling great. Hashem, how are you today? I don't know, but I'm feeling miserable. Say it. Hashem, I'm having a hard time. Hashem, this was nice. I'm good. Well, my grandson got bar mitzvah. Or this one. And there's a lot of things that we can say thank you to Hashem. And there's a lot of things we can complain about too. Why shouldn't you? He's Hashem. If you're in a situation where you have a complaint, who gave you the complaint? Who gave you the reason to complain? Then why don't you turn to him and ask him, Hashem, I don't want to come to you every day. I have a husband and wife every day. They're complaining. What kind of life is that? Hashem, I don't want to come to you every day with a complaint. I want to thank you. Please help me out of this problem. Help me out of this situation. But put your heart and mind into it. Don't do it by rote. Just say it and finish and walk away from it. All right? What about connecting with Hashem? That's Rabbi Nachman's main advice. His poitedus, turn to Hashem, ask him, speak to him, complain, thank, joy, sing, curse if you want. You shouldn't do that, but okay. But if you feel that way, then what can you do? You feel that way. That's the way you are at this moment. Hashem, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. So help me that I don't have to go there. Help me to. You had a question back there?
Yes.
Speak loud because I'm getting older and my hearing is going. Go ahead.
I can't hear too well. Is there an official word from Breslov about psychoanalysis and Freud taking his spododot from specifically Breslov's practices? Because, you know, in psychoanalysis, Freud originally had people speak for an hour a day behind the screen, and the therapist never said anything back. And you kept this up for 12 years. And it was 7 days a week. So my point is, there are a lot of similarities between that and his photographs. And I was wondering, since you're in, I know your name for so many years, is there an official word from that?
There's no official word. It's what you call a fact of life, right? Freud, by today, is already, in Yiddish they say, "Ugezogt." He's like, he's not accepted in modern psychology, whatever. He's been rejected by a lot of things that he did. But between today and Freud, Rabbi Nachman preceded them by 100 years, right? I could say, and I will say, that almost every article that I read on psychoanalysis, therapy, psychology, whatever it is, I could quote you chapter and verse where Rabbi Nachman speaks about it, right? And if I can't find it in Rabbi Nachman, I'll tell you that the advice they're giving you is wrong.
Right.
I'll say that. I said it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid or ashamed to say it. Because Rabbi Nachman has his source from the Torah, which is Hashem.
Right.
It's God, right? All the other guys, it's textbook. They go to school for a few years, they learn, they charge you a couple of $100 to lay down on the couch, right? And whatever. When you have his poitedus, it's free. It's free.
Right.
And God is the real therapist. You learn to relate to him, he will relate back to you. Let's take next week's parsha.
I think self-talk in cognitive behavioral therapy is much closer to Hesbodas than anything else.
What?
Self-talk cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like you're saying things.
No, the thing is, the problem with therapy is that people have a lot of problems bottled up on the heart. Rabbi Nachman says, release your heart. Open it up to Hashem, right? And then you don't have the problems that you have to go to a therapist, right? And Hashem is free, right? He's there for you, right? Look how much money you save, right? You can retire on a 401 with that, right? Okay, so now, a 401, by the way, it just hit me. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'es, right? In the beginning, Hashem created the heavens. The heavens, es, the word es, the heavens, right, is Aleph Tov. It's 401. And that's where your real 401k is, okay? You heard that from Kramer, K. Okay, now, when you start talking about therapy, you start talking about all this kind of stuff and whatnot, the reason is Rabbi Nachman says, and this goes back again, 200 years, the reason why people are so depressed, which is an illness of today's day. Everyone wants happiness, and everyone walks around depressed, right? And the reason everyone is depressed is because they don't have Yishuv Hadas. They don't have a tranquil or a settled mind. They don't have it because they don't have Hispaidus. They don't talk to Hashem. So of course, all the problems that you're going to face, it's all in your heart. Now what do you do? Where do you go with it? The Gemara says, the Talmud in Sanhedrin tells us that every person is considered an entire world, right? Okay, you've heard that expression before. Olam Katan. Everyone is a... Let's take our world, our globe. How many battles are being fought all over the globe today? Forget ISIS and Syria and Israel and Gaza. Look at all the problems that you have. This one goes and murders somebody. Right, all over the world you have it. In Somalia, you have it in who knows, in India and Pakistan are fighting now. I mean, whatever. If a person is a mini world, a micro world, right, then all the battles that take place all over the globe are also taking place within your heart. Did you ever wake up in the morning and say, oh, everything is fine and perfect, I have nothing to worry about? Did you ever have that? Or did you have some confusion or some doubts or frustrations or challenges, simple things? What do I do now? Right? That's a microcosm of all the battles and fights and everything that's taking place in the world. That's what a human being is. It's automatic. Now, how do you get rid of it? Well, everyone says dialogue, right? That's what you have the United Nations for, that glass theater. Dialogue, sit down to 170, 180 nations, each one speaks a different language, right? And they come up, they have people there. Whatever the case is, everyone's talking. Dialogue. Dialogue is when I talk to Hashem. Dialogue really, it's a monologue, right? Isn't it a monologue? I'm talking to Hashem myself. No. If you're open to speak to Hashem, then He will dialogue with you. Next week's Parsha. Vayikra el Moshe. God, He spoke to Moshe. He called to Moshe. And then it says, Vayidaber Hashem Elav. And Hashem spoke to him. So who's the first guy? Who's the one, Vayikra el Moshe? Right? But that's also, right, Rashi, I think it is, and the Balaturim, they all say, Vayikra, that Hashem calls out. And every person has a calling. Every person has that which is close to him, close to her, close to the heart, right? This is what I do. There are accountants, there are lawyers, there are plumbers, there are electricians, there's high-tech, there's low-tech, there's whatever. There's everybody in the world. Everyone has a different calling. Every person has a different way of looking at life. Vayikra el Moshe, Hashem hidden, Vayikra, who called? Right? There's a beating of the heart, a feeling of the heart that emerges. If I listen to it, and that's the word, the biggest word in the dictionary is if I listen to that calling, to what my heart is telling me, to what it's speaking to me, then Vayedaba Hashem Elav. Then you find the revelation of Hashem in whatever it is that I am doing. It's an amazing thing, right? You can't expect Hashem to pick up the phone and say, this is God, this is what you should be doing. But you'll find enough directives in your life, enough things happening, enough things developing, where you will be able to come and see what Hashem really wants of you. And you can say that to Hashem every day in His Poitedus. Hashem, what the H do you want from me? What the heaven is that you want from me? Or whatever the other H means. But you can say that. Why is this happening to me? What could I do about it? Be aware of yourself. That's what Hispoidus is. Become aware of who you really are. I'm a good person, right? Say it to yourself. I'm a good person. I have a lot of good in me, right? Is there anyone here who hasn't at one point in their life said, you idiot, look what you did to yourself? Is there anyone who could say it never happened to me? Right? How many times do we say that? How many times are we hard on ourselves? How many times do we go down on ourselves? Rabbi Nachman says it's not supposed to be that way. Yeah, you did it. You know you did it. And you know you messed it up. You know you ruined this thing. You know you, whatever it was. But that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're really a good person. Well, we live in a world, a material world, where we have so many attractions, so many things that draw us, and we're lost, we're tossed. We don't know where we're turning. So what happens is that we turn to Hashem and ask Him, help me out of this. And then we start thinking, I know I'm not a bad person. How do I bring out the good in me? I have good. I have a lot of good in me. I mean, you're handcrafted by Hashem. Hashem put you in this world. Hashem is good. And that means I am connected to good. But how strong is my connection? So Rabbi Nachman teaches, go look for the good that you have in yourself. Yeah, you messed this up. You idiot. You did it. But you also did good things. You also did a lot of good things in your life. They may be small, they may seem insignificant, but they're not. Because they all have contributed to make you who you are today. All those little tiny bits of good all gathered together. They're in you, they're part of you. They are who you are today. Take that good and say, Hashem, thank you. I did right, I did wrong. Help me be a better person. And that's how it works. Okay? That's how you psychoanalyze yourself. That's how you take care of all the therapy, right? And it works. It works, right? How many times have people called me crazy? Yeah, I'm crazy. But I did a couple of good things in my life too. Think about it. Yeah.
So, my grandmother just passed away.
Who?
My grandmother, last week.
You should have Tanchumen.
Thank you so much. I said to myself, okay, now that she's there, she's seeing everything I'm doing, so mom is going to be perfect, you know?
Right.
Like no more mistakes ever again.
Never. Never happened. Right.
So obviously, you know, within hours, right? Or after Yom Kippur, the same.
If it took a few hours, it's good.
Amen. So, and then so you go to the mikvah, right? You say, okay, that's it. I'm fresh. I'm starting over again. But then again, you fall back in the exact same way, and then you start over again. So, the idea of being baki beratzo, baki b'shov, like knowing and I realized that it's not about just being perfect from now on. That Hashem obviously wanted a world where we're all constantly falling and constantly getting up. But how do we, I guess, not get down in the down parts and then maximize when we're on the upward trajectory, try to maximize it even with the knowledge that we're going to fall again?
You have to know what we just mentioned before, taking the good points and strengthening yourself with what you did good. Right? Don't pay attention to the bad. The bad is there anyway. And believe me, people will tell you all your faults. They'll tell you whatever you did wrong. Right? It's up to you to teach yourself that you have all those good points. Rabbi Nachman teaches in one of his lessons that today is what counts. Today, meaning I am now starting. It's a brand new day. I'm now starting my day. We say in the davening in the morning, HaMachadesh b'tuvo b'chol yom tomed. Hashem renews the world every single day. Every single day, it's a new creation. Reb Nosson of Breslov, Reb Nachman's closest student, he writes in his Likutei Halachos, he says, a master architect is a guy, what's his name? Pi? Huh? I am Pei, right? Okay, he's a master architect. He would never design the same building, would he? No, wouldn't be a master architect. He's a master architect, he'll design every building brand new, something completely different. Hashem is the master architect who designed this world and created it, right? And every day he renews creation. To us, it seems like the same old stuff, right? But Hashem is a master architect. Do you think every day it's the same thing? No, it's not. It's something new, something fresh in the day. Something new that's happened, right? We have to learn to take that freshness, that newness, right? Would you like a stale piece of bread or would you like a fresh piece of bread? Right? A stale fruit or a fresh fruit, right? And so on. You have to start your day with a fresh outlook, right? That's the freshness that you have to look for. When you look for a freshness, you're going to look for something good. You're not going to look for a spoiled banana to buy it and eat it. You're going to look for a ripe banana, right? And so on. You have to look for the good that I have right now, the good that's in my day right now, and start anew. Rabbi Nachman himself said that he started over many, many times, many hundreds of times, even in one day. Right? I got up, I did something, good, okay. I did something not so good, I'm starting again. Right? It takes a lot of strength to start anew. Yes, it does. Frankly, I always thought that when you're younger, you can start anew much better. It's easier when you're much younger. You have the strength, you have the power. Now that I reached my age, I find that it's easier to start anew at this age. I simply forgot what happened yesterday. Right? So, whatever the story is, you have to start again from new. Right? You did something, you failed, it happens, you're human. If you didn't fail, you wouldn't be human. Angels don't fail. Right? Human being fails. So I failed. I'm human, but that means I could also start again. Something that I never had before. Start again. New creation. Some fellow was talking to me before about the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. I explained to him, this is just the very beginning concepts of understanding. What is the Yetzer Tov? What is the Yetzer Hara? Okay, what is it? I mean, the Yetzer Hara is placed in the person when he's born. The Yetzer Tov doesn't come till the person is 12 or 13, female or male, whatever. But the point is, what is this word Yetzer Tov? What is the word Yetzer? Right? Rabbi Nachman explains that the word Yetzer, Rabbi Nosson goes into tremendous detail on this. But understand, the word Yetzer, the inclination, shares the same root as the word Yetzirah, creation. Right? At this moment, you're going to make a choice of what you're going to do. Right? You have a choice, good or bad, whatever. Right? You have a choice. You are now going to make something new in your life. You're going to either choose good or choose that. Whatever you choose is going to make the good or the evil. That's the Yetzer Tov, that's the Yetzer Hara. You have the choice to make good, you have the choice to create evil. Then whatever comes forth from whatever you decided, that's your creation, right? So if creation takes place every day anew, it's your creation to do what you have to do. Follow? And you could create a whole new world for yourself every single day. Right? Every single day. You asked enough questions tonight. Every person could make, there's something, it's secular, but it's very religious. You ever hear of a guy, he lived overseas, he was a foreigner, his name was Winston Churchill. You ever hear of him? Yeah? He said once, everybody in their lifetime stumbles over the truth. Yeah? Everybody. 99% of the people pick themselves up and keep on going. Right? Winston Churchill, a non-Jew, foreigner, whatever you want to call him, right? Brilliant. It's a brilliant statement. Brilliant statement. We stumble over the truth. We find the truth. We come across it. We take a look at different things that happen. All these different kind of ideas come to us. What do I do with it? Vayikra el Moshe. It calls to Moshe. It, he, the hidden one. Right? These are hints that come to us every single day of our life. Right? What do we do with it? Do we connect it back to Hashem? Do we? That's what we're supposed to do. But what do we do? If we look for the good, right? The positive thinking, then we'll have the tranquil thoughts, we'll have a tranquil life. Of course, there's going to be things to upset it, right? Nobody goes through life without getting frustrated, without getting challenged. Doesn't matter. Take a look. There was a guy, a very wealthy businessman here in New York. He now became president. Did he ever think he's not going to have trouble? Right? Does a day go by without him being bashed by the media? Well, who cares? I mean, that's not my business. But think about it, right? He's a wealthy guy. He's sitting on top of the world, president of the USA, right? Does he have it so good? Right? It's up to you to make what you do. Make what you want. You want a Twitter, you want a Facebook, you want to get on all that stuff, leave it, whatever. Hashem does whatever He'll do, you can put yourself, you can bury yourself with this stuff, or you can turn it into a greatest thing. Someone once told me about a car. You own a car, right? There are two expressions in Hebrew. One is a Baal Agala, the wagon driver, right? The guy who used to drive the wagons, whatever the case is. And there's also, in Yechezkel, the book of Ezekiel, you have what's called the Maaseh Merkava, the chariot of Hashem, right? You have a car, metal. That's all it is, metal, right? You could either use that car for Maaseh Merkava, to make it a chariot for Hashem, and do good things with the car, or you could be a balagala, just drive around and whatever it is you're doing, right? The choice is yours, whatever you want. So this is the idea behind looking for the good. This is the idea behind Hispaidus. Just to cap it off a little bit, Rabbi Nachman speaks about joy. We mentioned depression earlier. Why are people so depressed? And why? It's because they take the weight of the world on you. We talked about new. Everything is new in the world, right? Every day there's a freshness. You have a choice. You could either see the freshness that Hashem planted in your life today, or you could listen to the media and eat the fodder that they feed you every day with their news, right? That's what it is. You can do it. It's fodder. What do they give you in the news? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But that's, you can either eat that or you can look for the freshness of Hashem. So why are people depressed? Because they're exposed to all the news. They're exposed to everything that happens in the world. Oh my gosh, look what happened. Everything like that, right? And the end result is you have to turn and see that this stuff is not going to depress me, right? This stuff is not going to I am not going to be involved with this. I am going to be involved with happiness and joy. I am going to look for the good. Just think about it. If you're looking for the good points, like Rabbi Nachman said, if you're looking for it, well, what is your mind occupied with? Good. I am seeking good, I am looking for good, I am searching for good, right? My mind is focused on good. If I'm going to think other things, I'm going to look for the depressing parts of the day, well, then that's what's going to occupy your mind. Your mind is going to be filled with depression, with frustrations, right? And they're there. Don't think I'm knocking it away. Depression exists, right? Frustrations exist, challenges exist. Everything that you come across exists. It's real. But it doesn't have to remain a power, a negative power in my life. I can take that and turn it into positive. I can make my life positive. I could. I should. I better. All right? Any other questions?
You mentioned earlier.
Loud enough.
You mentioned earlier having like complaints towards Hashem. How do you, especially if you find yourself in what you think is a difficult situation that you might have even put yourself into, how do you strike the balance between being happy with your lot and with having a complaint?
Complaints are part of life. Complaints are real. There are things that happen, things you may have done wrong, things that came to you from outer space, for all we know. They weren't your fault, right? You work for a company, the company goes bankrupt. Not your fault, but you got a complaint. What do I do now, right? There are things that we're responsible for, things that we're not responsible for what happened, but we have to face it, right? You have to learn to take what comes your way and say, okay, this is what it is now. Hashem, I am happy with my life till now. After all, I'm still alive, right? There's a pasuk in Eicha, Ma yisoinen odom chai. What should a live person complain about? Yirmiyah, Jeremiah wrote this at the time of the destruction of the temple, right? When the Jews were being led into exile, their lives were destroyed. He says, what should a living person complain about? The Gemara Chagiga takes this And so he uses plays on the words. My yisonein odom, what should a person complain about? Dayoy shuhu chai, it's enough that he's living. You're alive? Okay. That means that this is what I am right now. Right? I'm happy with what I have till now. It may not have been the best. There may have been problems along the line. But this is what I have. This is my lot. I mean, I have to live with this lot. So you're happy with your lot. You draw that joy into your life. You make it part of you, right? But that doesn't mean that Hashem, I'm miserable. I need money. I have my mortgage payment. I have my rent. I have whatever. I have problems with the children. I have, anyone here have teenagers? I'm not going to go further than that, right? You have all the different problems that come up. Hashem, I got to handle this. I saw a great prayer once. Beautiful. It was like a magnet on someone's refrigerator. Hashem, I got to tell you, today is going great. Right? I don't feel stress. I don't feel problems. People aren't screaming. There's no yelling. Everything's quiet. My life is tranquil right now. But in 1 minute, I'm going to get out of bed. What am I going to do then? Right? That's the way. What do I do then? Right? The tranquility of life, right? That's what I have to seek and be happy with whatever I have in my life. Right? Okay. Complain? If it hurts, complain. Right? I saw once a study here in New York City. They checked out the hospitals. Right? The Irish complained the least. The Jews complained the most. Right? It's part of us. It's part of us because we're supposed to cry out to Hashem. We're supposed to. It doesn't mean I can't be thankful for what I have till now. But who wants to face a future like that? Right? Okay? Right? We're okay? Okay, questions? Anything you wanted to know about Rabbi Nachman we're afraid to ask? Go ahead.
Rabbi Nachman talks about thinking.
Thinking, yes, it's a good thing, yeah.
And he says that I guess you have to be present in order to be...
You have to be...
He talks about your thinking and how your thinking has to change from... I mean, you would know. I don't know. I'm just saying he talks about how your thinking changes from like how you think to you should be thinking about Hashem or Torah thoughts or even being present with Hashem. He talks about the main point of your existence is to get to know Hashem, correct?
Did you ever go to Disney or any of these other places? Yeah. Okay. If you're thinking about Orlando, right? Mm-hmm. Where are you?
Orlando.
Hmm?
You're in Orlando.
Rabbi Nachman teaches wherever a person thinks, that's where he is. Okay? Now, it's not bad. It's a pleasant place. Right? Whatever. I was there once and I looked at an ice cream. And the seller, the lady who was selling the ice cream says to me, here, it has a hechsher. Right? I was blown away by that, but she knew it. But okay. Whatever. If you're thinking of that place, that's where you. If you're thinking of different things, that's where you are. Right? A person is always thinking. Because the original creation started from nothingness, right? It's called creation ex nihilo, right? From nothing. They're created. The first thing created after the Keser is Chokhmah. In the Kabbalah, Keser, Chokhmah. Chokhmah is the mind. So that's the beginning of everything. Right? Anything you do, you want to wiggle your toenail, it comes from the mind. Thinking. Right? Whatever. Maybe an urge, but it's there. Whatever happens at the end always starts in the mind. You're thinking. Rabbi Nachman says about thinking, think. But think positive. Focus on the good. Look for what is good. Think, but we're going to be beset by problematic thoughts too. All of us are, right? He says only one thought could remain in the mind at one time, right? Our minds race from thought to thought, right? You ever hear the word focus, right? If we were ever to focus on what it is that we're doing right now, right? So that you wouldn't be racing from thought to thought. You wouldn't, because you'd be focused on the idea. So Rabbi Nachman says, focus on the good. Think of the good. Think positive. Think good thoughts. Build yourself up, whatever, right? If an evil thought comes in, right? He says, divert your mind, right? Divert it. Instead of going up third avenue, you go up first. It's faster, right? Go up a different road, right? But
What about staying present and not?
what about,
What about staying present and not thinking?
it's called focus. Focus on the present, right? You can plan whatever you want for the future. You don't know what's going to happen, right? Okay? You focus on the present. People ask me a lot of times, my saying is, I don't live in the past. I don't worry about what happened. I did things right, I did things wrong. I don't worry about my past. I am living now for the future. Follow? I'm living in the present. Right? That's all. I don't know what's going to be tomorrow. Right? So I turn around and I say, I'm living today. And now I have to plan for the future. Of course I have to plan for the future. Everyone has to. But I'm living in the present. This is what I have now. And let's see what will happen as time goes on. They say that life is a school, right? I hated school. But, life is a school. Every day there's something new.
Can I add a comment instead of a question? I think you talked this, and a lot of people think if they have a negative thought in their mind, you have to fight it and fight it and fight it.
Rabbi Nachman says no.
No, he said just let it fall away.
Divert your mind to something good. Don't fight it. Right? You fight it, the other guy's going to fight back.
Just empty it.
Right.
It'll flow out.
Any questions?
Well, may I engage in comment too, because I don't want to take the time. My point is this is where you lose me, because the entire...
Wait, one second. Yes, sir, can you give me a glass of water? Louder.
I say this is where you lose me, because the entire secular society is involved with positive thinking.
They're what with positive?
The entire secular
Yeah.
society and the Christian and Norman Vincent Peale and everything for the past 100 years has been a society of positive thinking. And the one thing about the Jewish opus is that it has a potential for negation. And the negative theology, and the concept that the highest aspects are aimed at something, and the aim and denying negative, and the whole idea of the potential of reaching the negative. Even the number of commandments are higher in the negation than they are in the positive. So the point is, and this is what blocks me off, it's a great entry into whatever, to block off negative thoughts. But for somebody who's at the other end of the life, it's not real. And so as I enter the...
Why isn't it real?
Because it's negation, even in language. Language doesn't exist only with positive statements. No, negation, there's more negative statements. I don't like tomatoes. See, that's a negative statement. So the point is, negation in language, numbers, negative numbers, things like that, And so, by your statement, unfortunately, it turns me off. Of course, one would like to be positive, but everything is in the secular society is stay positive, be forceful, and for me, it's not Jewish. I think that the whole idea is.
Was King Solomon Jewish?
I don't know what King Solomon did.
Was King Solomon Jewish?
I hope so.
Son of King David?
Yeah.
He wrote the book Ecclesiastes, right? Koheles.
Yes.
Right? He says there, Al toimer she'ayomim harishonim hoyu tovim me'elu ki lo michochmo sha'alta al zeh. Do not say that the early days were better days, the good old days. Did you ever hear that? The roaring 20s, the good old days, right? Don't say that they were better than they are today, because you did not ask or say that from a point of wisdom. Right? King Solomon was 3,000 years ago, 2,800 years ago, whatever. And he was talking about the positive thinking then. Why was he talking about the positive thinking? Because negativity came into the world when Adam ate from the tree of knowledge.
Okay.
That's when it started.
Right.
So the Torah is always teaching us positive, that the fact that the Jews, because they're associated with Torah, feel the negativity. And if you take a look, if you know Jewish history, there's every reason in Judaism to think about negativity, because we started off in Egypt as slaves, right? And we had our terrible moments through history. We've had our Holocausts. We've had the Khmelnytsky massacres, the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusaders, the destruction of the temple twice. And what? There's every reason for negativity in Judaism. And that's why all the tzaddikim of all the generations always taught the positive. This 20th century that they started with positive thinking, where in the world do you think they got it from, if not us?
Hopefully for my sake.
Not hopefully, it's unquestionably that they got, unquestionably that all this stuff, Freud was a Jew, right? Positive thinking, it all came from us, from the Jews.
No, but Freud wasn't a positive thinker.
No, I didn't say he was. I'm just saying he talks about it, whatever. Positive thinking comes from Judaism. It's the source. Today, the world is finally awakening to what the world is supposed to be. A world of positive thinking, a world of goodness, a world of richness of soul, of values. None of that exists today with all the positive thinking. Right? They're thinking positive. Hey, let's get together with North Korea. Right? A lunatic, certified lunatic, who wants to have nuclear power to blow up the world. Right? Let's get together and make a pact with him. Let's sit down with ISIS and talk to them. Right? Positive thinking. Right? Isn't that what Obama did? Sat down. Iran. Wow, what a great country. Right? Years ago, a few years ago, they had this thing. Obama was really able to come and take a country that was spit upon by all the people. It was despised by all the nations of the world. And he made them a top-class power. If only he can do for America what he did for Iran. Right? That's what the saying was. Where's all the positive thinking? Please, explain to me. You're on the wrong track, my friend. I'm sorry to say it publicly. Please excuse me. I hope I didn't embarrass you. But I'm telling you, none of that exists. Look at the Torah origin of whatever you have, and you're going to find it's all by us. It came from the Torah, and it's there in the world, and it's beginning to spread. This is the Messianic era. Right? This is the Messianic era. And all the messianic ideas that people talk about, the nirvana or the Pollyannas that everyone's looking for, it's all with Moshiach. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. But because you have people, right, they have ideas. And they're the ones who open their mouths and talk. And that's why nothing is really happening. But the world is moving in that direction.
I appreciate your comments.
Rabbi,
Sure.
what does Rabbi Nachman say about setting goals?
Set them.
Gedalia-
Set them.
But
Look every morning, look at the Torah, look at yourself, look at your parnosa, look at whatever it is that you have. Put it down and think about how you could achieve it.
by putting it down, you mean putting it down on paper, or putting it where?
Put it on paper, put it in your mind, settle it in your mind, whatever. Whichever way is going to work for you. You want to use your iPhone for it and put it in notes or reminders. You want to use it on your computer. Whichever way is going to make you sit down and set goals for yourself and learn how to achieve it. That's what Rabbi Nachman says.
So it's manifesting as well, right?
Well, you'll see after a while. Rabbi Nachman used to set goals for himself. And he would try it out for a month or two. If it worked, he would do it a little bit longer, and then he would set new goals. This worked. I got this. Now I want something else. Right? You can change your goals, but don't set your goals, which is very common by people. You ever hear of those New Year's resolutions, right? Right? It's very common for people to set a goal, and then after a couple of days, well, we've changed the goal, right? Years ago, we had a drought in Israel, and the Kinneret, which is the, what they use for measuring how bad the drought is, it says, well, there's a certain red line that if the water goes below that line, then we're in trouble, right? Because there's too much chemicals or too much this, whatever's happening to fish. So they reached that point and it went below that. So they have what they call dry bones. It's a caricature in one of the papers, Jerusalem Post, and they saw them. Yeah, what do we do? The Kinneret went below the red line. No problem. We set a new red line. Right? In other words, but people do that after 2 days, 3 days. I'm doing this, 2, 3 days. I got to do something else. I can't do this. Right? No, that's no good. Rabbi Nachman says, set a goal, keep with it. I mean, make sure that it's an achievable goal before it's doable, right? But set the goal, but try it. Work on it for a little while. See what it does for you. It could be it's not good. It happens. Change it. But give it a chance. Right? Don't just, I did it today. Well, it's my Sunday. By Tuesday, I'm on a different road, which happens. Okay? Questions? I'm not going to leave Mrs. Walensky with any time to speak, huh?
So we're in this month of Adar right now, and we know that we're heading towards more simcha in the world. And many of us have been suffering many challenges over these last few weeks. Losses of our deaths of our friends, and sickness, and challenges in losing jobs and working. And we're hoping that everything is going to turn around somehow. But is there some way that you could give us some kind of positive outlook of what we have to look forward to? Because there's been a lot of suffering going on, a lot of challenges over these last few weeks.
If I were a prophet, I would tell you. I'm not. I can't. I can tell you that the world is getting better and better. Right? There are a lot of things. You have to look for them. I buried a daughter a few months ago. Right?
I'm so sorry.
Things are tough. Right? Things are rough. Right? I now have to look forward to her children, what we can do to help them. There's a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't hit either. But everyone gets hit, one way or another. Okay? Right? What you have to do is focus on the good. Right? And do the good, do the best you can. Do really the best that you can. It's possible. right? What's going to happen in the future? I don't know. Just think, you have now you have like 13 people, 15 people running for the Democratic presidential candidate. I mean, just think what you have to look forward to. Is there anyone in that group that looks good, right? Right, but that doesn't mean that you should focus on that. Right? It doesn't mean the Republicans are going to come up with anyone better. But we in Israel have elections in a few weeks, right? Believe me, we're shaking from what could be. If certain elements become part of the government, may Hashem spare us all, right? It's there. We don't know. The trouble is up and down, back and forth. The world is crazy, but the world is a beautiful world if you know where to find Hashem within it, all right? There are troubles, we don't know. But from every difficulty, I mean, you can't make steel until you take iron and melt it. Molten iron becomes steel, right? It's the troubles that we face that give us the fortitude to be able to go forward. And if you had some things like that in life until now, then you know you have the metal to go further. And it will become better. You have to just realize that it's all these problems that Hashem gave us is what turns us into a nation that could do it, right?
Thank you.
When it comes to mourning, just like it,
Larry, yeah.
when it comes to mourning or crying, like just even in like an appropriate way, like for a shiva or over a hearing of a loss or something, how much would Rabbi Nachman allow a person to cry, like just to let it out, or just like?
Well, first let's preface with a Talmudic teaching, Moed Kodin. The Gemara says, whoever cries too much over a person who passed away, then Hashem will give you additional reasons to cry. Oy, right? Okay? Right? Call aboicha al meso yosa midai, right? Noisten loy bechia, right? So, how much? Rabbi Nachman would probably say, cry as much as you feel is warranted, right? You had a loss, cry. Okay? Cry. I mean, right after during the Shiva on my daughter, right? I didn't sleep that night. It was a couple of nights. Hard to sleep. My wife didn't sleep either. Right? The whole night, we kind of heard each other, but never said a word. Right? Until the morning came. And then we said to each other, okay, time to get up and face the day. Right? It happens. It's nothing. It happens. You're human. If you don't cry, you're not human. You're not feeling the pain, the suffering. Of course you feel that pain. It's a friend, it's a neighbor, it's a close person, a parent, Khalila, it's a sibling, whatever it may be. These are things that happen. But if you let it just take over your life, then you are possessed by whatever happened. Do you want to be possessed, or do you want to be the possessor? Right? So how much? Cry what's reasonable. I mean, some people cry a little more, some people cry a little less. Everyone has different feelings. That's okay. Do what you feel is right. Feel that way, and it'll work.
Thank you.
This is very broad, but you mentioned before, Ikus of the Mashiach, we're in Messianic times. So we've gone through a period where we've heard this already for a while. Some great ones that already come in, and I know are here. They spoke about Ikus of Mashiach. Mashiach's not here, so I was curious, Mashiach's not here, and we have this term that we're calling Messianic times. So, I don't know, how could you elaborate about that now that we're kind of, we've come to this point in history, we're calling it Messianic times. Time's elapsing, Mashiach's not here. Here with that concept.
Okay. How long do people live at this age now? Today? 80s, 90s? You have a lot of people living till then, right? 100 years ago, people were dying at 45, 50. Right? True? Established fact? Okay. In the Chumash, the end of Parshas Bereshis, right? Genesis 6, if you want to look it up. Look at Rashi. Rashi says over there, his life will be 120 years. Men then live 900 years, 800 years. Now they live until 120. So Rashi there brings a verse from Zechariah, the book of Zechariah. Hana'ar ben Meya Shona Yomos. A young man at that time, if he died at the age of 100, he was a young man. Right? They lived till 800, 700, 800, 900. 100 years, it's like a teenager, right? 10-year-old kid, 12. Right? And Rashi adds on the words, V'chein li yimois HaMashiach. So too will be in the days when Mashiach comes. Right? Then also people will live longer lives. Now, I'm not going to go into the full Kabbalistic dissertation about this, but the Svarim explained, especially in the Ari, he talks about it. There are 5 divine persona. Okay? I'll give it very short. The divine persona, the first one, the higher one is called Atik or Orach Anpin, the ancient or the long face, long countenance. The next one is called Chochmah, wisdom, Abba. The third one is called Ima, right, Bina. The fourth one is called Ze'er Ampin, a diminished countenance. And the last one is called Malchus. Okay? Is that clear? Anyone have questions on that? The 5 divine persona. The first one is called Orach, long, and that's where the souls of those generations came from. They came from a long, their souls were rooted in a much higher level, and therefore they lived a very long life. Right? As the flood came, life was shortened. You take a look at the chapter 11 in Genesis, you'll find that the people then lived 400 years, 300 years. It was diminished. It went down to Chochmah. It went down to Bina. It went down to those levels. The 120 already is in the level of Ze'er Ampin. You find in Talmud, Rabbi Akiva, Hillel, others lived 120 years. We find that. After the Talmud, right, is when you take a look, you look in history, you'll find that people started dying then 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, 40 years. What happened? Right? The souls, the Arizal explains that all the souls of that time came from Malchus. Malchus is the smallest, the most diminished of all levels. The souls came from there. Okay? Is that clear till now? All right? So the next thing we have to see is how come the last 100 years people started living double? When I was a kid, if a person made it to 65, I grew up in the 50s. Person made it to 65. Wow! That's an accomplishment. Right? 65, 75, 80. People today live to the late 80s, 90s. Right? There are many people that even make it through 100. What happened? What happened? The explanation is that Moshiach, the root of his soul, is from Atik, Orach, from the highest levels. Anything that has to do with Moshiach is now being elongated and lengthened. All right, is this understood? How we can begin to understand? Not, it doesn't explain it, not yet, but if you take a look at what's happening, because today we are now living on that level of Atik. We are now drawing from the Messianic time, which is why people are living a lot longer. You could tell me today there's medication, right? I could tell you, go check all the lawsuits they have against the medication firms because of what damage it causes to. It's not the medication that's doing it, right? I'm not going to say it doesn't help. I won't say that. But I will say it's because the reason there's a length of days for people today is because we are now drawing on the Messianic times. Now, let's go further. The verse says in Noach, chapter 7, Vayihi b'sheish me'os shana l'chayei Noach, in the 600th year of Noach's life, right? Niftachu kol ma'yanois tohoim rabba. All the heavenly gates opened up, and the windows of heaven, right, became open, and the rain came down. The Zohar, this is 1800 years ago, 1800 years ago, right, said that the Torah is not just a story of history, what happened, but it's a telling you what's going to happen too. In the year 5600 in the Hebrew calendar, L'chayei Noach, it will begin a life of Noach, how would you explain it? The best word for it?
Pleasant.
Rest, pleasant. It will be easier life, okay? At the year 5600, there will be an easier life. The gates of heaven will open, right? And they will reveal wisdoms that come down to this world. Okay? The year 5600 was 1840. 1840? Okay? We'll get to the time frame in a minute. The Zohar there says, according to the Sfirot, according to the Kabbalah, right, what you have is there are 10 Sfirot, but there's also one group of Sfirot called the Ampin that are 6 Sfirot. The Zohar there speaks, it explains why, and it says that in increments of 6 to 10 years, there will be new things coming to this world that will make life easier for a person. And then, in increments of 60 years, because 10 times 6 is 60, it explains there why, then there will be new things that will help make life easier for a person. All of this to bring l'chayei Noach, a life that's easy for people to have in the Messianic time. Okay? We're okay so far? Okay. History. Anyone here a history buff? Yeah? History major? 1840 was the time, 1838 actually was the steamboat, right? The invention of the steamboat, 1840s, the telegraph. You had the 1850s, you had 1860s, Edison with the light bulb, with the phonograph, right? You had all these different, anyone here remember the phonograph, right? The LPs, 78s or whatever, right? Right? Does any here remember cassettes? Right? But let's go back. All these things till 1900s. 1960 years later, you had the automobile, 1893 or 84 with the automobile, right? Till then, everything was horse and buggy. A machine that moves by itself, right? But you also had 1901, the Marconi with the radio. You had 1903, the Wright brothers with flight. And then you started having all the different refrigerators, and you had the television and all the different inventions that came, the computers that started. 1900, 60 years later is 1960. It's the space age, right? And you had the miniaturization, the transistors, right? Those little things that took a radio that used to stand this high, and I remember them, right? Now you can have a transistor walking around in your pocket. And take a look at the cell phone that you have today, right? Take a look at all the different things that happen. The world is moving at such a rapid pace. Why is it moving at a rapid pace? We'll come to in a minute. But it's moving at such a rapid pace today, and the inventions that are coming out, right? The next 60 years is 2020. Be prepared, right? You're going to see now, starting now. They have it already. They have little cameras, right? You know the camera? You remember the big bulky cameras, right? They used to take the pictures of the guys who used to stand there with the thing, right? Today they have cameras, digital cameras. You have it on your cell phone, a camera. Today they have cameras that they can inject into your blood system that travel around the entire body, taking pictures of everything that's inside to see what's going on inside you. Right? This, the Zohar said 1,800 years ago. Right? That will lead to the Messianic age. Right? Things. Why are we moving such a rapid pace? When did this rapid pace really start? It started moving a lot in the 1900s. But let's say that the world is built on 6 millennia, 6,000 years. Okay? That's what the Gemara says. The world will last for 6,000 years. We're almost near the end. Right? I mean, the earth is falling, the sky is whatever they want to call it. Right? But 6,000 years, Mashiach has to come. He has to come before 6,000 years. Right? So now, we're in the last millennia, right, which began when? Right? Around the year 5,000. Around the year, I'd call it where are we now? 20. So it started at around 1300. Okay? So now, divide your day into quarters. Why? Because in davening, in Shulchan Aruch, we find the day is divided into quarters. The first half of the night, till Chatzot, till midnight, right? It's a time of strict judgments, very difficult times. From midnight till the morning is called from Chatzos till Shacharit, right? There it's a time when the Rachamim, the kindnesses of Hashem, begin to appear in the world. Then there's the morning till Mincha, till midday, okay? And then you have the last part of the day before the sun sets, okay? In the first quarter of this millennia, right, around the year 250 is when the Kabbalah began to be revealed by the Ramak and the Arizal, right? That's when the Kabbalah. Till then, Kabbalah was available. The Ramban, the Gaonim, they speak about it, but in very hidden terms, right? It began to be revealed first. But that first quarter was also the time of the Crusades and terrible suffering of the Jews. That was the first part of the night when there are very severe judgments. The second part is Chatzos till Shacharit. Okay? That's from the Ari till the Baal Shem Tov, who lived in the year 5,500. Right? So the Baal Shem Tov was another light that came to the world in the morning. It's Friday morning. Let's call it 6,000 years, and then the Shabbos, okay? So it's now Friday morning, and the Baal Shem Tov comes on the scene. and he begins to open up the life of Chasidus, the life of Noach that we can begin to appreciate. There was suffering too. Suffering doesn't limit itself only tonight. There was problems then too, but that's what we had. When was the 5,000? That's the 5,500 mark. 5,750. When was that? 1991. 1990. Okay? If you go back, you're a history major, you can, starting from 1990 is when the world kind of speeded up at a pace that none of us could have ever imagined. Never imagined. Right? As he says, the Soviet Union broke up. Right? You had the introduction of justice. All of a sudden, everyone's screaming justice. Right? And people who were guilty, in the old days, it took them 20, 30, 50 years or 100 years, or may never have happened, that they would be brought to justice. Now they're brought to justice. What happened? Right? I mean, there's a lot of cruelty and things going wrong, financial finagling and whatnot. People aren't caught yet. But people are getting caught left and right now. What happened? What happened? Because it's Friday afternoon. The 6th millennia. It's Friday afternoon after 1990. And we're in the last preparations for Shabbos. Right? Now, everyone goes into a little panic Friday afternoon. I got to get ready. Look at it, it's almost Shabbos. And there's this cooked, there's this ready, is the table set, is my house ready, am I home in time? Whatever. It's Friday afternoon now. And the world is going at a dizzying pace that we can't even keep up. Right? You have electric cars that drive themselves. Right? Right? You're going to find that you'll be able to go from place to place without a car, without a plane, just as faster. It's going to happen, right? They have these hovercraft, right? Who would think of these kind of things, right? But because we're in the throes of Erev Shabbos, the Satan, Gemara in Gittin talks about it, that comes Friday afternoon, so the Satan throws a monkey wrench into everything that we do. So there's always a problem coming up. So be prepared for that too. Not just the inventions that will happen starting now, which they're happening already for this next period of 60 years, but be prepared for things that you never expected before. Right? Okay? Clear? We're okay?
Why 60 or what's 60? What's special about 60?
I said earlier, there in the Kabbalah, there's a group of 10 spheres and there's a group of 6 spheres. 6 times 10 is 60. That's why the 6 years, you'll see every couple of years, whether it's increments of 6, 10, 12, 18, 20, 26, and so on. In the increments of these years, you'll see new things. At the end of a 60-year period, you'll see very new things, right? Any questions?
Rabbi, could you touch on the subject of shattering of the vessels? Gedalia talks about it here and there. Right.
Gedalia Fenster.
Yeah. What does he refer to?
Shviras Kalim. It's a concept in the Kabbalah. God created the world. And he created 10 sephirot, 10 energies. Okay? These energies are considered a tremendous light. Thank you. These energies are considered a tremendous light. If you have, today they have LEDs, they're different, but if the LED is not enclosed in the glass, it won't light, it won't work, right? They used to have incandescent, now it's LED, whatever. But if it's not, the light is not enclosed inside the glass, it won't work. Okay? The same thing, the energies that Hashem created, if we didn't have a vessel within which to receive this light, then we would never be able to benefit from the light. Okay? So God created vessels to receive and contain the light.
The Shefa.
Right? To receive, whatever, we'll come to that in a minute. But to receive and contain the light. Now, there's a problem. If the light is contained above, then how are we as humans who were intended to be created ever benefit from it? But it's God's light in a pure form that has to come down to this world, which is an impure form. So God created the vessels with an imperfection. Okay? These vessels were not strong enough to contain the light. Take an incandescent light of 50 watts, 60 watts. Put it in a small glass, it'll work. Take that same incandescent forgot what they call it. They don't use filament. Take that one of 150 watts and put it into a glass of 40 watts.
Burst.
Yeah?
It's gonna burst.
It's going to burst. That's what Hashem did. He took this great light and he put it into a small vessel, but the vessel is also holy because it came from Hashem's closer world. So the vessel shattered, and because it shattered, it's like it was up there, now it came down lower, to lower worlds, right? And that's where the vessels are. Okay? At that point, Hashem then started recreating the vessels at a lower level so that they will be able to accept the light and work with it. So that those vessels came down to this world. And we are here now to help. Every mitzvah we do, every good thing we do, helps to take the broken shards of the vessel and put it together to make a complete vessel out of it. We are the ones who are going to complete the cycle of the broken, shattered vessels.
I thought the keli is our personal keli that we keep growing so we could
Each person has a personal vessel. Yes.
and that keli,
If you do a mitzvah, you help reinvent that vessel.
the personal one.
Yeah. If you do an avera, you shatter it further.
You shatter what?
The vessel becomes shattered further. Okay? Questions?
So I know you answered it already twice about the Sfirim, how there's 10 Sfirot, and then there's 6 Sfirot, and then 10 times 6 is 60. I don't know if there's any way you could just repeat that, why does Hashem Sfiros times each other?
The Zohar, which is available in English translation, right, it's in Parshas Vayera, I think Omid Kuf Yud Zayin, Kuf Yud Ches, something like 117, 118, something like that. You look it up over there and you'll see what he says. Vayera, Embracious, page 117, 118, you'll find it there. That's where he starts the discussion. It goes on the verse in the 600th year of Noach. They have an English translation, right?
Oh, the Zohar.
Huh?
The Zohar.
The Zohar.
So Rabbi, my question about the 6 again. So if the initial vessel was broken into 600,000, right, the 6? So like it says in the Zohar, 600,000? No?
No, the initial vessel was broken into many, many thousands, millions. I don't know how many shards. Right? They were here on earth waiting for Adam to come and rectify them on the Friday that he was created. Right? Had he rectified them by saying his prayers and doing what he had to do, or waiting till Shabbos, had he done that, the world would have been brought right away to a state of rectification. Instead, he blew it. Right? Which caused all the vessels that were shattered to be shattered further. And every person who does something wrong, like in the time of the flood, or Stone, or all these other places, right, or the idolatry that was found in the Book of Kings and whatnot, it shatters the vessels further and spreads them further out all over the globe, which is why we as Jews are all over the globe. Wherever we are, a person can do a mitzvah and rectify a shard.
And then further, are we all reincarnations of the original?
In the time of the Arizal, in the time of the Arizal, he wrote that then almost 100% of the souls were reincarnations. So you can just imagine what's taking place today.
So how many times person can go under a reincarnation?
Until he's rectified.
Even 10 times?
Even 20, even 30, even 40. Right?
Rabbi, when we say that we want to make ourselves
Get it right the first time. You won't have to worry about it.
I know that women don't do that.
No, that's a whole different story, discussion.
Yeah.
Women are not really shaykh to the Gilgul. They're not really shaykh to reincarnation.
They don't.
Right? No. The Gemara says that anyone, it's Gemara at the end of Chagiga, anyone who studies Torah cannot go into Gehenna. Therefore, a man who is commanded to study Torah will not go into Gehenna. He has to come back in reincarnation. All right? Listen, you were married before, it's your husband, you got to take care of him again, so you come back again for him.
When we say that we're trying to make ourselves a keli, are we talking about that keli that was shattered, or are we talking about a different keli just for a bracha?
You're talking about your keli that was applied to you that you must rectify. Right? The other guy has to rectify his.
Gotcha.
Okay? Any questions?
Can you elaborate more about the stories that he was saying?
About the...
The stories. You know, Rabbi Nachman has also a book of the stories. About
Yes, I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, can you elaborate on those? Because he was explaining that they have very, very deep thoughts. And
All right, in lesson 60 in the Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman says that somebody who merits can go up to Atik, that highest divine persona that we spoke about, which is the origin of the Torah, and it can bring down from there stories that will help even the lowest levels. Rabbi Nachman said, I see that my Torah lessons are not reaching you, so I'm going to start telling stories. Right?
yeah.
Now, he gave Torah lessons after that too. But he told these stories. These stories come from the highest of levels. They contain incredibly deep mysteries of Torah. Right? Some of it, we have a book called Rabbi Nachman Stories. And in the stories, right, some of it, Rabbi Kaplan, Olav Shalom, Rabbi Kaplan, he collected what was available from the Breslov literature, and he made these stories available with a commentary. Right? The commentary is there just to push you in the right direction, but it doesn't tell you the real meaning of the story. But the stories whatever you read of them, you could find solace for your soul, and you can find ideas that will help direct you to Hashem, even though it's in story form and you don't understand the Torah part of it, even without that. That's the basis of the medrash of the Agarata, the Agaric part of the Torah.
Can you repeat that? You said soulness? Or
What?
so, what did you say? Find soulness?
Soulless, S-O-L-A-C-E.
I get it.
Not AOC like the character from the Bronx, but AC. Questions?
What did Rabbi Nachman say about Israel? Is it
It wasn't in existence during his day. So you can't talk to me about the state. You can talk to me about the land.
the land? Yes, the land.
And Rabbi Nachman said the land is extremely sanctified. And that's the place for every Jewish soul. Reb Nosson in Likutei Halachos elaborates on that and say every Jew has a portion in the land of Israel. Every soul belongs there. I sound Zionistic, and I am. I'm not going to say no on that. But I'm not involved in politics. I abhor politics. I actually stopped voting in 1970. I started in 1968.
There was no votes.
And I stopped in I couldn't go into the polls anymore. Because, why not? Because I used to go into the poll booth and I would see a pile of dung and another pile of dung and another pile of dung. Which dung do I prefer? And I stopped voting. It's a simple thing. I told my kids they should vote. I said, I just can't walk into a poll booth. I can't choose evil. I can't choose garbage. I can't choose dung. So I stopped. So I'm not talking about a state, a political entity. I am talking about the land of Israel. I wrote a book called This Land is My Land, right? And it speaks about Eretz Israel, the history of the land of Israel from the creation till today. And it's a place for every Jew to be. That's their place, in the land of Israel. It is sanctified. It'll help you bring to Israel, to Hashem. The word Eretz shares the same root as the word Ratzon, I want. Right? Eretz Israel means I want to be a Jew. Right? Now, you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. The Gemara says there are three things that are acquired through suffering. It's not easy. One is the world to come. One is Torah. And the third thing is the land of Israel. Right? So you have to be willing to understand. I'm giving up the flesh pots of America. So we talked about shredding the. It's my brother where I'm staying tonight. So we're on. Hi, I'm still here on the east side. I guess I won't be there till about 11. All right. All right. So I go to the other room. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You're like Motel 6. You left the light on for me. Right. Take care of it.
So you said this is, if you experience bad things, you were seeing all these things? Or
What?
did you say you rectify bad things, or you experience bad things? Or you get this for granted?
You have to endure suffering. You have to suffer in order to really get Eretz Israel.
Suffering, but materialistically, or?
Clear.
With everything.
You just cleared up for us why we all need Aliyah now. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
You're welcome.
Enough with the suffering.
Well, I think there's more suffering in USA
That's what we're
that
saying.
you
We're
should.
ready.
This is your suffering. So now you can move to Israel without suffering. You went through it already.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, I wish you all a good night.
Thank you so much.
Just one more word, just to close it off. In 2 weeks, we're gonna Mitzvah Hashem. We're gonna all celebrate the holiday of Purim, right? Just Reb Nosson writes in the Likutei Halachos that we're going to be reading what we call the Megillat Esther, right? Megillat Esther. So Reb Nosson explains that Megillah shares the root of the word legalot, to reveal. Esther implies something that is hidden, from the word seter. Understand that the Megillas Esther is meant to reveal that which is hidden from us. Right? May Hashem help that we merit to that we merit to really feel the light of Purim, the joy of Purim, right? The tzedakah of Purim, the matonos, the evyonim, the gifts, and the drunkenness of Purim. That we feel it all in the right way, in the right manner, that we merit to see the coming of Mashiach and the Geula Shlema. I'm going to now just show you this. It's a new project that we're working on called Day by Day. It's going to be 13 volumes. We divided 10 of Rabbi Nachman's books into short pieces, and we divided it to 365 units, so that every day you can study 10 of Rabbi Nachman's books. Short pieces, take you about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and you'll be able to finish all 10 books in 1 year's time. Wow. Right? Yossi, you still here? Or you went back? Yeah, so we have a couple of flyers here if anyone wants to read about it. And to us, maybe at this point more important, if anyone wants to contribute toward the cost of it, we're selling one more volume left. There are 13 volumes, including Adar Sheni. There's one volume left that we have to sell for $8,200 for the month. You'll be a sponsor for a month, which means that anyone who studies during that month, it's on your credit. Okay? If you can't go that high, so we're selling the Parshias of the week for $2,600 a Parsha. If anyone can pick up $2,600 gift, and that anyone who studies that week, it's all on your credit. And then we're selling a day for $360. So if anyone wants to pick up a day, so anyone who's studying on that day, it's all your credit for that day. So may Hashem help us. We all make the right choices, and we do the Yetzer Tov, which is a good creation that we mentioned earlier. And join us in this and help bring Rabbi Nachman's message out to the world, so you won't have so many questions next time.